Can you hear me? Test, test, test.
Okay.
Well, nice.
I don't know what I did different this time that I didn't just do 100 times before, but this time I
sometimes it just takes a few minutes to kick in. And
great.
I don't know why. It's one of the mysteries of SL.
So everyone will get me here to hear me say and yeah a million times now.
That's okay. We'll strike that from the records.
Yeah, I'm not the greatest public speaker.
That's okay, I'm not either. I only auction for a living, and yeah, that's I hate talking in public.
Lies, all of it.
And I'm very shy. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. If you guys argue about it, yeah, no, I'll object you.
Nah, I don't think anybody here's buying that.
So I just want to say thank you guys for coming. This means a lot to everybody here. Thank you for coming to celebrate our opening. It definitely means a lot for everybody to be here. It means so much for Malve Studios to come here and represent. It's just, we just really, really, really appreciate it, and we want to thank you. So that's about the limit of my public speaking ability. So I'm gonna have, yeah, that's it.
Well, I've been so busy messing with my voice, I haven't even had a chance to cam around and see what you guys have done to the place. So maybe after the meeting I can do that.
Sweet. We'll give you a tour.
I'm not clear exactly how this question thing is going to work. Are you going to give me the questions? People just randomly asking them in local?
Yeah, I think that it's just going to be a general Q&A. Somebody will give you a question and you can respond to it. So everybody be patient while Levio is responding to the questions. And, we'll try to get as many in as we can. And, yeah, so I don't know if... Yeah, we talked to Mask a little bit about that yesterday. Just a general open format, I think is what we decided. So yeah.
Okay. Just so people know, it's easy for me to lose track of questions that scroll by in local when I'm off in my head babbling. So if I'm not answering you, feel free to ask it again, because I just may not have seen it scroll by.
We kind of knew that would be the first question.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
we were just going over the last half hour about stuff, I have a tendency to say too much, so they're giving me the third degree about what to say and not to say. We kind of guessed that'd be the first question.
We don't have anything definite one way or another. We've heard about it. There's, of course, pros and cons to both approaches. I've been getting a crash course exactly on how some of their products operate, and trying to figure out what it would take to either re-implement them or purchase, and then we'll just have to. I've got some prototype trees that I've been tinkering on and things like that, but I don't think we're at the point where we can say, oh, we're going to go this way or that way. And also, from what I understand, it's still up in the air that, there may be somebody else that buys them, so it may not even be an option for us if somebody else, if they make a deal with somebody else. So I think it's safe to say we're not going to leave you guys without any kind of trees or something that we'll either probably purchase their technology or come out with our own trees. Just so you know, if we do make our own trees, they may not exactly work like the existing ones, and that is somewhat on purpose. There's a reason why we never developed our own trees in-house to begin with, because I know one of the things these trees will do is that, they'll try to help guide you into what's a good purchase, or what's what's a desirable trade or something. And that's something I've always felt is definitely really critical. We leave that up to the market. If a third-party tool tells you, oh, this trade is better than that trade, that's, up to you if you believe that or agree with that tool or not. And if I make a tool and say, oh, this is a good tail and this is a bad tail, well, guess what? I pretty much guaranteed it's going to tank the market for whatever one is listed as a, inferior tail. So if we do make a tree, it's not going to have any indication about what's the most desirable tree, because that is and always should be a factor, function of the market and supply and demand, and just whether or not people like the looks of a given tail better than another one or something, right? So hopefully I nailed down enough of that question for you guys. Wondering if a way to have the scripts available so you can make your own
I wasn't sure
homes.
if it was just the latest or if it. I thought it highlighted everything that was desirable.
Well, I don't know. I just wanted to toss it out there that I don't plan on doing any.
Right.
And again, that sort of thing I think that should be up to each breeder. If they want to value whatever's latest, that should be up to them, and it shouldn't be spoon-fed to them by our company. Someone asked about the scripts and making your own homes. No, I don't foresee that in the future, because of all the security and things like that we've got built in to keep people from tampering and trying to cheat.
No, but we've always said too that our mailbox is open on Route Sim at any time. So if you guys have any suggestions for homes, we're more than willing to take them. Yeah. I mean, I try to get as many suggestions that come in the box done. I know we just came out with the new sets of the kids' rooms and kids' toys that were requested last month or the month before, and we got them out a couple weeks ago. So anytime anybody has any suggestions like that, just stick them in our box and Mass will get them to us. And as long as we can, pull it off. We got to remember that they're one prim, so that kind of limits us a little bit of what we can put out there. But as long as it's within my capabilities, I will for sure get it done.
Okay, like Moxie said, I just want to reiterate, we are always, looking for ideas of new homes to make and things like that. So if you have something in mind, by all means, let us know. And Moxie's always like, gosh, I wish I had an idea for some new homes to, come out for this holiday, that sort of thing. Somebody asked about invisible homes, and we talked about that, and I'm really conflicted because I don't want it to be where all we ever sell afterwards is invisible homes. So I won't say we'll never do it, but every time we revisit the idea, it just doesn't seem like a good one long term. So somebody asked about the runic crystals, about the evolution of the Meeroos. Well, I can't really say quite how important it is. They are meant to be in part of the future, but I don't want to, get into the how and whys and things like that. But you guys should know by now when you see new things coming out, that there's probably a reason for it, that we have something in mind.
Plus the fact that we had a lot of requests because we had kind of started in the beginning of getting the runic out there, and a lot of people want to try and figure it out, you know. So this is a good way for everybody to start to learn the alphabet and the meanings behind the symbols that we've kind of sneak peeked on a lot of our products out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the runic is, you know, is its whole own language, and it's meant for people to try to discover the entire language and, you know, then be able to decode any secret messages we have done in Meeroo. Okay, let me look back here for some more.
On the third, the oracle, there's going to be new lore coming out soon, and there are going to be a few things introduced into the storyline soon, and a few more matrons, and you guys will have to just kind of wait for that to kind of unfold.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a lot of lore coming in the next couple months. So.
Yeah, it shouldn't really be a surprise to anybody. We are, you know, have begun our work behind the scenes on Chapter 3. You know, we definitely want to be sort of farther along before we start really talking about what that's going to entail and what kind of new gameplay there's going to be and those sorts of things. So when we definitely plan on a lot more lore, like Moxie said, upcoming to kind of ease you guys into the Chapter 3 content and things like that. Somebody's asking about undiscovered items in the tomb. Yes. Anytime you see an undiscovered item, it's just something you haven't unlocked yet. That it's, you know, it's there in the game. When somebody pulls it out, you usually hear in group. Redeeming older nest. We do have some ideas as part of the next chapter on that, around that area about older nest. I mean, you can exchange them for regard right now, but that, I know, isn't the most appealing thing to players right now. So we have some ideas we're kicking around, and not even quite finalized, but we have some good ones so far about that. Mesh templates for Ryu's clothing. Moxie, that one sounds like you.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about that. I don't think we'd be releasing anything that people could actually make mesh clothing to fit them per se, but we have talked to a few people out there who are currently making Meeroo items and accessories, and I know that Meeroo is working on some stuff towards that and getting together with the community about making a lot of things available and some contests and stuff that are going to be coming up at the end of the Relay for Life fair. We're going to get a lot more and build up the Meeroo items.
Somebody asked about the new server-side baking. I don't foresee any problems about that. That's really only about your avatar baking and getting new skins, textures for your avatars, so that shouldn't affect. Now, of course, they're always, you know, breaking servers out from underneath us, and, you know, I'm still irked about the whole interestless changes they've made where it have really messed up the ruse animations and things like that when you like cam on them and cam away and then cam back to them. You know, that used to look flawless, and now you'll see them jump around and pieces pop out of place, and it's really ugly. But
You wanna touch the Grimby thing?
The Primby, yeah, we're not even quite sure where we are on that. It's got some bugs and needs an update, but we also know it's, there are other products out there like that do more features, and so we're tossing around the idea about making a new product that does more than just what the Primby did. Somebody's asking about pathfinding in Meeroos. That's very doubtful that's going to happen. I don't know if you realize it, but if you enable pathfinding on anything, it basically adds a 15 prim overhead. So it would basically double the prim count of all your Meeroos if we were to put pathfinding in there. Well, last time I looked, it was adding 15 prims. So maybe they've changed something. I don't, to be pathfinding, basically you're going to have to, it's going to also require physics, which is going to really up the resources that it would take. Justin is asking a question about Nox and hybrids. I'm not sure I understand your question. If you want to, I can't say what's advantageous to a breeder because it depends what the breeder wants. If you want one of the hybrid traits, you're going to have to, breed them as hybrids. If you don't want hybrid traits, then try to keep your lines pure. Is all I can really tell you there. Somebody's asking about the special stuff we do on holidays. I'm not quite sure what the thing is. We've been trying to this year, sort of branch out and cover more holidays. It takes a lot of manpower to, make all the special costumes and holiday treasures and stuff like that. And so, sure, we would love to cover every holiday known to mankind. But, if you did that, we'd have, holidays every single day of the year. But so as we hear about holidays, people request them. There is a large Brazilian population in SL and that play Meeroos, and so
that kind of goes back to the suggestion thing, because we've been kind of pounding that, out in group chats for about a year now, is that if anybody has a holiday that they want us to cover, you got to give us plenty of time in advance. And we're more than willing to listen to suggestions. Because we just can't. I mean, it would be impossible. We'd have to have an artist team of 1 million people try and cover every holiday of every month.
Someone is asking about having the things unlocked in the tomb affecting your breeding. The fact that something, you've unlocked it, does not have any bearing on your breeding, but obviously the more things you have unlocked, and if you're those are in your breeding gene pool that you're working with, then yes, that will help your breeding efforts, right? That makes sense. But just the fact that you have unlocked it, if someone gives you a nest and you birth it just to unlock it, and then you give that roux away, you don't breed it, well, you don't get the benefits of the genes that were in that roux. And just the fact that it's unlocked is not going to affect your breeding.
Yay!
Somebody asked about a portable food. looked at that. It's something we'll consider when we get around to the next script update. It would take a script update to have portable food, because right now, they're scripted to look for the food on the ground and sort of hop over it so they're next to it before they do their eating animation, right? So, but that has been requested, and it's something, if we can, squeeze it in within the memory constraints of our current scripts, then we'll look at adding that. Someone asked about poses for our roos. I assume that being able to change their animations or something. We do get requests for that every once in a while, and I'm not sure. It would just depend if we have memory free in the scripts. Someone's asking about the traits and stuff. It's not. There is nothing in the system that says, oh, this person should get this kind of roo, right? Now it will start. I've explained this before at the last Q&A. When new traits are ready to go live, they just start getting mixed in with the gene mutations, and it's 100% random how they get spliced in, but it does require breeding, and it usually requires breeding multiple generations before that gene is actually fully expressed and appears as what you guys see on the grid as like a new tail. Yeah, I'm trying to scroll through local here and hit everything.
We've got a couple people kind of shouting out there about food, and I'm not going to say much on it, but I would just say in the near future to keep an eye out for things. I don't want to give away too much.
Someone asked for a pentacle on Moxie.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said somebody asked for a pentacle home. Big good one for Halloween.
Absolutely.
Updates on the flying pigroo. That he's going to be part of the chapter 3. So.
And he's so cute.
Somebody asked about fellowship regard actually matter. The fellowship regard only matters as far as your fellowships competing against each other. Your fellowship regard does not affect your breeding. Now your regard and the regard on both parents, those 3 regards do affect the breeding. Someone's asking about a food change, where there may be a food that would feed Nox-1 diurnals. That is something we get asked for, and that may take a script update. I'm not exactly sure, but it's sort of on my list to investigate. Somebody asked about different sitting poses for roos when attached to avatars. If you aren't aware, there are multiple sitting poses for roos, depending if you have them on your attached to your hands or your shoulders, or I don't remember. There's 2 or 3.
The back, yeah, the right shoulder, I think was another one. Yeah, that was put in
They
the
actually
last
they actually
update.
do have different sit poses and animations they do depending on where you attach them at. Somebody asked about a payable food bowl. We get requests for that every once in a while. I'm not sure if I like that idea. Number one, you would. There's just. I'm afraid there's going to be no way to do the accounting, right? If someone says, "Oh, I had this roo that was eating too much or too little," like there's be no way of figuring that out. Pairing option on the. I won't say there never be, but there. We like the current game mechanic that's there like that, and so. Somebody's saying stump jumping still happens a lot. If it is, that's news to me. You guys need to put in tickets or something, because as far as I know, stump jumping was fixed after the last script update. Each roo specifically remembers in its script the last home it was on, and if for some reason your sim lags out and it gets detached or something, the first thing it does is try to go back to that same stump. Somebody's asking again about when Chapter 3 is coming. It's just sort of one of those things. It will be ready when it's ready, and we're gonna build some things and try some things, and game development can be tricky, and you have something you think is a really awesome idea, and you implement it, and you test it for a while, and then you're like, oh, that didn't really work out the way we thought it would, and you kind of go back to the drawing board, and you want something that's fun for people and engaging, and gives you something to do in between waiting 5 days for a nest to come out. Somebody asked about roo use on Marketplace. We have just in the last month we've been trying to get more of our products up on Marketplace, so there's not a big disparity between what's available in store and what's on the Marketplace. So just bear with us while we got a lot of stuff to get up there. Okay, trying to look through, find some questions here. Somebody again asking about the Pedalboard Brims hub. That's still up in the air. So I don't know if somebody might else might buy it. But like I said before, that we'll make sure that if that goes away, that you'll have something else you can use. Somebody's asking about a new burning sun. You should know we're not going to explicitly say, yes, this coat's coming out or it's not, You guys have the genes in your hands, and it's up to you to mix and match them and uncover those new coats. Somebody's asking about the me petting and having it just auto me pet after 60 days. And that's something we've talked about, that or a reduced cost honey dipper if you're, depending on how old the Meeroo is when you go to use the dipper on it. So it's not a terrible idea. It's just kind of a low priority for us, I guess, compared to things like Chapter 3 and things like that. And some more people are talking about stump jumping. I will say, one thing to look at on your sim is there's a new setting. If you go under the performance, there's a little performance dialog. If you see your sim, if you open up all those little windows, if you see the spare time on your sim gets down low, that's when you're going to have your problems. And not just with Meeroos, with any scripted items, because basically if your sim is running full blast and it's so busy doing physics calculations and stuff like that, it's always scripts that end up suffering, and basically the sim will just stop running the scripts. And if your Meeroos can't do anything if the scripts aren't getting run. So if you open that dialog up and you see spare time is really low, just a few milliseconds per frame or even zero, it's guaranteed you're going to have problems with everything in your sim, not just Meeroos. Somebody's asking about restarts and rollbacks. As long as it's just a sim restart, pretty much everything should be fine. It's just the rollbacks that really mess everything up, and there's nothing that really can be done when the SL rolls back your sim, and then all the state of all your roos and nests on your sim don't match the state in our database, and it's just guaranteed you're going to have to file a ticket if something goes wonky. Chapter 3, people are asking about new starters and things like that. We're too early in it at this point for me to want to answer that question. Again, somebody asking about the runic collectibles with the legendaries. Yes, of course, the runics are connected to the legendaries.
Yay! Oh my god!
Somebody's asking if we watch the secondary market at all, and the answer there is pretty much no. Oh, I don't sit there and study and say, oh, these Arabians are selling like hotcakes. We need to put out another Arabian coat or something. It's the system is set up that the genes just sort of do their own thing, and they mutate when they mutate, and a lot of that now, of course, that is tied to the number of roos being bred. So, yes, if the number on grid actively being bred, drops down, then of course the number of new stuff that pops out is going to also drop down, and that's just sort of where it's at, and I'm not really inclined to go in there and start fiddling with it and be like, try to do anything special and be like, oh, we really need more of this thing here to pop. That'll really boost things up. That's I don't think my place is a business, and I think the worst thing we could possibly do is be mucking about with things like that and influencing the market. What happens, and it's basically under control of just the DNA code now, not what we're sitting here thinking is best for the company. And so, I don't want anybody to be able to say that, I just, this new thing came out and I just spent a million lindens on it, and now everybody on the grid has it, and I lost all my money, and it's all your fault because you guys decided to put more of these on the grid or something like that. So that none of that applies to us, because it's just things are kind of set in motion when the genes are spliced in, and it's up to you guys to breed and pull stuff out. Not we're not back there fiddling with percentages. Once something goes live on that grid, it's the factors that govern it are set in stone, and we never go back and alter that whatsoever to do it kind of for any kind of market corrections or any reason at all. Somebody else asking about Me Pet wands. We do have a bulk pack. We sell those, and we do put those on sale all the time. Yeah, I'm trying to get caught up on questions here.
I know, it's so hard. They're going so fast. Somebody was asking about the eyes, though. I don't remember us coming out with saying that.
Somebody asking about the Me Pets needing to eat. That was a conscious decision. We still wanted Me Pets to feel like animals that you're still taking care of. I do realize a lot of people get upset when they had a Me Pet in inventory and they pull it out and its text immediately goes to red because it hasn't eaten in months and stuff. So whenever we do a next script update, we'll probably put something in there where if you res out a Me Pet that hasn't been out in a while, that its hunger will just drop or pop back up to full. So you don't have to feel guilty. You got them in your inventory all that time. Somebody else asking about the price of food. I haven't actually, there's been a lot of breedables come and go over the years, and last I looked, we're still one of the most affordable breedables. But there are some new ones that have probably come out that I haven't, seen what their food prices are. But we still just have food. We don't have food and water and extra fertility things you got to purchase and things like that. So it probably wouldn't hurt for us to go back and look at our prices compared to other breedables and see where we stand. Somebody's asking about a swirly diurnal knock sneak peek. Moxie, if you know what that one.
Yeah, it was on the magazine cover, or inside the magazine on the Breedable Connection. He is cute.
They're asking if it's from this chapter to the next chapter. I don't know if you want to answer that for him or not. I don't.
He is a diurnal coat, if it's the one I think they're talking about. And that is from current.
Yay!
You guys just need to pop him.
Somebody's asking if a Vivids has a push power in the genetics. I don't understand that question. You'll have to read.
Right, that's what I was bringing up, was I thought I don't remember us saying that, but maybe it was something that we, at the Relay for Life, I think, last year, we kind of talked about the eyes and got into that, but I don't remember us saying that.
Somebody's asking about a complete and official breakdown of coats and traits with pricing guide. I promise that is something we will never make. Again,
yeah, there's no way we could.
That is up to the market and you guys and supply and demand, and that is totally not our place. Nothing would affect the market more than if I said this trait is awesome and this trait sucks. Well, guess what? I've created a market in one area and just bottomed out the market in the other area, and that's not fair to anybody playing the game. Now third-party players or whatever are free to do that all they want, because it's up to you whether or not you believe their opinion. But if I said it, if it came officially from us, then it's game over, end of story. And
plus, we love them all.
Yeah, when we're making new tails, we want them to be, all unique and stuff, and we don't want people to be, that everybody sees, that this tail is the end-all be-all of tails, and, I want all my roos to have this tail. That should be up to every single breeder, which, is their favorite tail and favorite ear. Somebody asked if I was saying it was the player's fault the new stuff's slow to come out. No, it's the fault, if you want to put fault on it, is just the DNA code. But that, like I said, that's sort of, just frozen in time. And the rate, new mutations and things are going to be uncovered. Part of it is a functionality of, how many things are being bred. That's just kind of a, a fact of life. It's not anybody's fault or trying to put blame on anything. But anyways, the one question was about, somebody asked about a Vivid having push power, and I don't understand what push power means. It's not a phrase I'm familiar with. Yes, people love to quote my "it's all in the eyes" thing I said, and I do have a blog post in mind to potentially expand on that, and also hopefully part of that will make more sense come chapter 3.
Yay!
When I said that, it's not that it wasn't true, but it was probably premature. And I understand if people are frustrated by that because they don't really understand what it has to do with the eyes. It's because you haven't seen that stuff that I had in mind yet. Somebody asked about a whistle of personality change. That we've had some instances of people asking about whistle personality change or something to alter the gender. And I do have something in mind in the future. It won't be exactly that you're thinking of. One of the things that has sort of been in a while about the way the Meeroos, the way they were coded, is that when they are born, basically that information is generated and stored in the database, and it is never ever altered. It's just inserted into the database and remembered, but there is nothing in the program that will ever go back and alter the genetics of an existing roux. And we've had, like when we first came out, you don't know how many people would be like, oh, I swear this nest was male, and then when I clicked it and birthed it, it popped out female, or vice versa, or that its personality changed. But I can safely say that somebody must have been confused, or there must have been like a display bug, but I guarantee that its gender or personality did not change in the database because there's just nothing there that can ever change it. And so I sort of like that because, if we gave people the ability to start changing those things, then when people started opening tickets, we'd have to be like, oh, well, did you, use the thing to change its personality or not? And, it becomes a whole CSR issue of figuring out, what did they do? Had it ever changed? Is it supposed to be, is it the way it's supposed to be? We'd have to keep track of what it used to be so we could prove that, and sort of that sort of thing. And the other thing is I'm not sure people realize the point of personalities, in addition to just, it being a cute, lore thing and stuff like that, is that was designed to spur sales in the secondary market. And people think that I don't care about the secondary market or that sort of thing, but obviously I do care. I just don't want to be involved in it or part of what makes it fluctuate. But so not sure I'm explaining this very well here. I got off track there. The point of personalities was that you may, since they're not all roux are compatible, you may have two roux that you would love to breed together. But if they had incompatible personalities, you would have to go out to the market and you would have to trade one away or buy a different one to mate. And so the point of that is to spur sales in the secondary market. If we just gave you guys a whistle personality change, well, that's more money for us, which I guess is nice, but you would never go out to the market and buy extra roux if you could just change the personalities of all your existing roux so they all matched up and you could just keep breeding your own roux. Right. And, it's also good, right, every time you do go out to the secondary market and get new roux, well, you have better odds of getting new genes into your breeding gene pool that you didn't have before than if you kept just interbreeding your existing roux that you already owned. So same thing with gender change or any other kind of change like that. Okay, scrolling through, trying to find some more questions.
Well, somebody was saying here something about being more interactive than just the breeding, and as Leb kind of touched a little bit on that, is that we are, it's too soon to, start announcing stuff, but, I mean, we are working on something as we speak to, make things a little more fun and a little more interactive.
We're not going to come out and say what it is we have planned for Chapter 3, but yes, the idea behind Chapter 3 is that there will be more things for you to do, for the Roos to do, different means of interactions that weren't there before. Somebody's asking about coats popping in a correct order. I'm not sure what that means, but we don't tell you or say what order things are supposed to pop or what that even means. It's just, you guys mix and match the available genes and you get what you get. Someone's asking about the undiscovered eyes. So yes, the vivid eyes. These are more. This was kind of an experiment. The vivid eyes are hard to breed, and the undiscovered tier after that is supposed to be ridiculously hard to breed. So there is supposed to be a range of traits and breeding difficulties, if that makes sense. Like not necessarily all traits. It's supposed to be a challenge to get like a toy-sized Meeroo, but it's not supposed to be like the hardest thing ever. So by design, some traits are supposed to be much harder to get than others, and some are supposed to be much easier to obtain. Like, obviously personality is a softball. It's not hard to get a Roo to pop out with the personality you want. So that last tier of eyes is supposed to be the upper tier difficulty. If that makes sense. Somebody's asking about the vivids, if this was a key to getting mutations or something. That's not something we're going to answer. trying to go through here. Somebody's asking about attachments for the roos themselves. That is something we are working on. The problem there is it's really, if you want to put a hat on a roo, you basically have to go through and redo all of its animations. So every frame knows where to put that hat. So it's a very rough, not necessarily technological challenge, but manpower challenge. But it's not to say it's not going to happen. Hopefully some of that will show up in the next chapter.
Hello.
Well, the collectibles should come up now, like in your tome, so it kind of is like, having a display of them.
Somebody's asking about the quote again about the eyes. It does have to do with the learning the basics of root genetics, and the eyes are unique in that they are in reality sort of three traits combined in one. So overall, they are some of the most complex part of the DNA is around the eye, because it's really like a combination of three different traits, right? The color trait, the diurnal nocturnal trait, and then the sort of the clarity trait. And all three of those genes have different mechanisms that work behind them. And then the three of those combined together makes your final eye that decides the final eye texture that you'll see on the roof. So people are talking about the personality sex change stuff again. Like I said, I have an idea for something. It's not what you're asking for here, to be able to just say poof, change this one, the gender of this root from X to Y, because I do think that would impact the secondary market. So it won't be that, but it'll be something a little more interesting than that. Somebody's asking about something more interactive with crystals, and yes, that's our idea for Chapter 3 is, more things to do, more ways of interacting. Somebody's asking about diurnals having new traits. They may not have new traits as far as we did, go back and add bioluminescence to them as a possibility to be bred over from the nocturnals. So I won't say that no, they'll never have new types of traits, but certainly, of course, in the future, we may go back and add a new tail or things like that. And and part of the, the nocturnal update did go back and add new things to the diurnals. So people, I know we sort of took quite a bit longer for nocturnals to come out than what people necessarily would have liked, but you have to realize we didn't just come out with nocturnals, really. We came out with nocturnals. We came out with hybrids, and we revamped the diurnals as part of the Chapter 2 launch. So it was really like 3 times the amount of work we put in to the initial diurnal launch. It was just crazy.
Yay!
How are we doing on time?
A lot of these, I
Is
just want to touch on something too. A lot of these questions, I mean, some of them we might be avoiding because, you know, Meeroo is a lot about what will you discover. So a lot of these questions, if we kind of give all the answers to, then they won't be anything fun for you to discover later, you know, in the game. So it's not that we're trying to just not say anything. It's just some of it we don't want to, you know, reveal now. It just wouldn't be any fun if we just kind of said, here it is, all on a silver platter.
Somebody's asking about achievements. That is, I've had some ideas for achievements and something I would love to add at some point. And it's just kind of always been a low priority thing. But I had some code I wrote for achievements from the initial launch that just none of it got turned on because it just wasn't quite ready yet. And of course, you have to have, you know, little art assets for each achievement and things like that. So achievements are something I would love to add. Just don't know where they fall in our priority these days. I did have some things I wanted to talk about that people aren't asking, so I'm just going to start blurting some out here. You know, today is the last day out at the Fantasy Fair Relay for Life, so if you haven't been out there, you should go check it out. Not only just to, you know, see our store and support Relay for Life, but there are 10 sims of stores and things to explore, and there's all kinds of crazy, you know, hunt things going on there, and it's just, the builds are amazing. If you haven't been yet, you definitely need to go. We do have our second birthday coming up, the 19th of next month, so you can probably expect some sort of celebration at our sim, and
Big celebration.
And hopefully we plan on having some more like lore and sneak peeks or that sort of thing that, you know, we plan to have more things ironed down and be able to start throwing you guys some hints and clues, starting with our birthday. Also, part of the birthday celebration is our Meeroo's video contest. If you hadn't seen the blog post, people we're giving away cash Linden prizes to the top 3 winners. So if you want to make a video about your Meeroos and submit it, that would be awesome. I'd love to see what people do. We've had lots of photo contests and other kinds of contests before. We thought we'd try one for videos. I know a lot of people don't necessarily have like fraps or video recording devices, So I will throw out, there's a really cool website. I'm pretty sure you can use it for free. Last time I looked, there's a free version and a paid version called Animoto. And if you go there, and basically you can just take still frame images and upload them, and it will help you string them together into like a little montage movie and give you all kind of cool transition effects. And you can pick from different royalty-free music and things like that. So even if you aren't really a video person, I don't want you to feel like, oh, I can't, that's beyond me. I couldn't possibly enter a video contest or something. There are things like that out there available to you to make it accessible to everybody. So.
I think it's the 16th of May that it's
Our
going to
birthday?
end. No, our birthday's on the 19th, but somebody was asking about how long will it last. Like, how long do they have? And I think that the last date that we'll accept the videos are on the 16th for entries.
Check our blog for all the rules. Please keep your videos G-rated for families, that sort of thing. So if you're interested, definitely read the post and read all the rules before you get started. Also on the Relay for Life front of things, keep in mind, I've been trying to hand out my plushies just at the Relay for Life events. If you haven't found me out at the fair, don't worry, because there are lots of other Relay for Life events still coming up. We've got Garden Expo coming up still.
On the Breeders' Fair.
We've got the Breedables Fair coming up. And what else? Seems like there was something else. I know we've applied to SL10B. They haven't announced who all is getting spots there or not, but we're trying. I can't guarantee anything on that one, though. So are we at our time limit now?
No, but definitely if anybody has any customer support questions, we've got Mask here, so I would get her now.
All right, I'll pipe in there. Thank you guys so much for coming and answering out all these questions. I know it's a lot, and it really, really, really means a lot to everybody here and to all of us. So I just want to say thank you, Moxie, thank you, Tiger, thank you, Mask.
Absolutely, congratulations
all you guys.
On the reopening. Thanks for having us out here.
Yeah, thank you everybody for support, coming out.
Yay!
Mikey answered that too. I'll fill you in on that.
Yay!
Yeah. So, guys, there will be a video, and I think Mandy's doing the video and the audio. She'll be posting it to YouTube, and we will get that out to everybody as soon as it's done. So we'll let it go out, and I'll let Mask know if they want to post a link to it too. So. Oh. Well, it's up to you. I figure it's. Everybody's going to ask for it anyway, so I was just trying to save you a little bit of work. Oh. All right. it's good to see you, Huntress. I'm not sure which one of you is behind the screen, so... but hugs and love to both of y'all. Yeah, and if you haven't taken a look at the sim, take a stroll around the sim, or you can wait till it's lit, like there's less people here. And let us know what you think. Thank you all for coming, and I guess that's about it.
What did y'all do to the bottom stairs at the main floor? The ground?
Which main floor ground?
You know, the ground, where everything used to be.
Delete?
Want to know that? Do y'all have plans of doing anything there?
I'm thinking about putting Roo School down there, like just a little island, and just keeping it nice and simple.
Do you have anything scheduled right now for every school, Justin?
I don't. And I'm gonna have to mull all this over, but probably on Tuesday we'll just do a chat or whatever.
Cool.
You can see 2 p.m. on Sundays. Justin's veggie.
Some of us are really waiting.
Nah,
Well, Tiger's giving me a lot to think about today.
3 seconds and
Yeah.
we're gone. It's like poof, poof, poof.
Yes, please stop recording, Mandy. You can cut. cut!
I even got to dunk in the water when that last one went. Remember that, Justin?
The what?
Remember we were standing there, all of a sudden the bottom went out?
Yeah.
Yeah.